The Japanese work until they die. For decades, this was common knowledge around the world. And honestly, it used to be true. In the 1980s, the West looked at Japan's workforce with a mix of awe and fear. A generation of devoted workers rebuilt a country from the ashes of war and turned it into the world's second-largest economy. Back then, nobody questioned long hours. There was even a TV commercial for an energy drink with the tagline, "Can you fight 24 hours a day, Japanese businessman?" That old stereotype has completely collapsed. Today, Japan's average working hours are below the OECD average, shorter than America's, shorter than South Korea's. Japan stopped working itself to death. So what happened? And more importantly, what did Japan actually get, and what did it lose in exchange? The shift began with a series of painful warnings. Karoshi, death from overwork, wasn't just a buzzword. It was a real crisis. People worked from morning until midnight, went home only to sleep, or never went home at all. Some offices kept sleeping bags on hand, just for employees to crash under their desks. In 2015, a 24-year-old woman at Japan's largest advertising agency took her own life. She'd been crushed by overwork and workplace stress. In the days before her death, she was at the office 20 hours a day. She once worked 47 hours straight. On one occasion, she went home, stayed for 40 minutes, and went right back to work. You might ask, why didn't she just quit? In fact, her own mother had told her to. But this wasn't just any company. It was the single most desired employer for new graduates in Japan. She'd fought her way through Japan's most competitive university, then won one of the most competitive jobs in the country. For someone who had climbed that hard, walking away might not have felt like an option. Extreme exhaustion clouds judgment. Maybe she hoped things would get better with time. Whatever the reason, at 24 years old, she made the choice to end her life. Karoshi wasn't new, but because the victim was young, accomplished, and widely sympathized with, this case struck a nerve like no other. It became the turning point for the entire country. The government stepped in too, capping overtime hours by law with real penalties for breaking the rules. Terrified of public backlash and fines, companies across Japan started forcing employees out the door. Some even shut off the office lights and the remote servers at 6 p.m. sharp. A rapid shift toward a healthier workplace culture had begun. And in terms of saving lives, this reform was undeniably a success. But it came with a side effect nobody planned for. Hours were cut by force. The pointless work was not. Layers of approval chains, endless meetings that reached no real conclusion, mountains of paperwork. None of it went away. People still spend hours polishing slides just to impress a manager. They still sit through meetings where the decision was already made before anyone walked in. While other countries used technology to save time, Japan kept its corporate theater running exactly as before. It just shrank the clock. The math turned out brutal. What got cut wasn't the wasted bureaucracy. It was the time that actually created value. Workers now spend most of their shortened hours just processing internal formalities. And since the workload never shrank, some take the leftover work home. Unpaid, unrecorded, hidden overtime that never shows up on paper. Strict overtime bans also became a wall for ambitious young employees who genuinely wanted to grind, take risks, and build skills early in their careers. Right when they wanted to push forward, someone closed their laptop for them. To be fair, Japanese companies aren't stupid. Many are chasing digital transformation, going paperless, trying to get more efficient. But the culture is changing far slower than the law is cutting hours. The result? The real decision-making process never got fixed. Only the time did. Japan's productivity problem gets blamed on stalled wages and companies failing to pass costs on to consumers. But all this wasted, protected busy work, is very likely part of it too. Let's be clear, shorter hours aren't the only reason Japan's economy stalled. A shrinking population, an aging society, a slow shift from hardware to software, these macro forces played a massive role. But those bigger problems often hide a deeper one. Japan tried to fix the way it worked by cutting time, not by cutting the waste. The era when Japan worked harder than anyone, while America chased work-life balance, is over. Today it's America's elite who work longer hours, and burn with far more intensity to drive innovation. Take Elon Musk right after he bought Twitter, now X. He sent an email to the staff who remained. Agree to hardcore hours, or leave. The world reacted with shock. Many employees walked out. But in the old Japan, almost nobody would have blinked. Workers were doing exactly that, for free without a second thought. As a matter of course, Japan's move toward a healthier workplace didn't come from cutting the pointless tasks. It came from forcing people out the door while the tasks stayed exactly where they were. If your company shut down your laptop at 5 p.m. every day for your own health, but that also meant fewer chances to sharpen your skills or climb the ladder, would you call that a gift or a burden? Nobody is arguing Japan should go back to the old, brutal way. Building a system that protects workers' health and lives was a necessary step forward, but the mix of heavy regulation and a corporate culture that refuses to change may have quietly drained away the very energy and drive that once stunned the world. How should a society balance the rules that protect lives against the freedom that drives growth and innovation? History shows that every country runs on cycles. In the 1980s, Japan stood at the peak of one, a relentless cycle of sacrificing everything for growth. Today, Japan has moved into its next phase, one that trades economic dynamism for protection, health, and comfort. Japan isn't some rare exception. It's a preview, a glimpse of what happens when any hyper-competitive society finally hits its limit. South Korea is already walking the same path, and any country running on intense work culture today will eventually reach the same fork in the road. A society that demands you work yourself to the bone for growth. A society that shuts your laptop at 5 p.m., even if it limits what you could become. Which one would you rather live in? Or is there a third way nobody's found yet? How is your country balancing this right now, and where do you think it's headed? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.